You know, a lot of people up in this soca business, you know, y'all just now getting here. And I get it, you love it, you love the genre, you know. You want to hear about Lady Lava. You want to hear about Young Brother, you understand? You want to hear about Pumper, That CQ. You know, you want to hear about Skinny Fabulous, but you know, it's a history behind this. You got generals in the game. It have stories, real stories. And today, this one is gonna pull a little bit of heartstrings. But in the spirit of Throwback Thursday, we're gonna touch on a very important person in soca, Blazer Dan.
My name is Mr. Blazer Dan, and in case you don't know, let me let you know, right? Baby, you know that I'll always love you, and I won't say I have lost on you don't have none, you got wrong timing. It's not where you're from, but it's where you are.
Now, Blazer Dan is an interesting character because normally whenever you think of soca artists, especially the people of the dancehall community, they'll say, you know, soca, nobody likes soca because soca artists, they too sweet, they too nice. But trust and believe, there are some people who've been about that life when it comes to soca. But what I must say is when it comes to Trinidad, you know, it's no secret that there's a lot of crime and a lot of things going on in Trinidad. But what I can say out of respect about the Trinidadians is that they never glorify it, they never put it on the forefront. When you see what represents Trinidad, it will never be this badness culture. Now, unfortunately, the way the soca industry is going in Trinidad right now, there's almost like a rift in between. Are we doing soca? We doing this. We doing soca? We doing Trinidad. That's kind of why they understand they can make so much money off Vybz Kartel. But we're not here to talk about what's Vybz Kartel in the carnival. We're here to talk about Blazer Dan. And you already know, hit the like button, subscribe, do all those formalities because we're about to go on a soca history journey. Annually.
Like the video. Tap this screen.
Now, Blazer Dan is a soca artist of the early 2000s, born Dylan Cruikshank in Shogunna, Trinidad. He was one of the artists more responsible for the modernization of soca as we hear now. So there's the soca before the 2000s, there's a soca of the mid 2000s, and then there's a soca of today. A lot of the things we know as modern soca today, we owe it to people like Blazer Dan. And Blazer Dan was a kind of artist now. Now imagine you have a soca track and you only have enough money for one artist. You're hearing the rhythm and it's sounding like, oh, maybe I could put voice, maybe Lil Von on this rhythm, but then I need a kind of power to it. But I could only get it from one artist. You see, you couldn't get Problem Child or Skinny Fabulous on that rhythm at the same time because you didn't have enough money. If you had somebody like Blazer Dan had this kind of ability to switch the styles from a sweet, well melodic soca, and then he could switch to like a hard, power, raspy voice.
So every time you see the youth call Blazer Dan, people jumping up and waving up their man. Any sort of kind of hand action is gonna get me jumping.
Almost like that of reggae music or the dancehall at the time. Think of people like Bounty Killer, Vybz Kartel, and that was the beauty of Blazer Dan. And it wasn't just that; he was one of the first artists to have this kind of style. You always had people like Bunji Garlin in the exact same time frame. He was coming up around the same time. You always had people like Masha Montano, but you could never have them both at the same time. Blazer Dan had a kind of style where he could blend the styles. He took a modernity to the soca. He was way ahead of his time. And in 2003, he would come up with tracks like Jumpy. He had tracks like Wrong Timing. And when you would hear these tracks, it would sound like Blazer featuring Blazer. He was that good. He had that many styles of soca. This dude came up, he would follow people like Sheldon Mendoza. That's one of the OG soca artists of the modern soca. You know, he'd follow him around. He'd say, yo, I got real styles. You gotta check me out. It was so good, they quickly learned that this dude wasn't just confined to soca. He made good reggae. He made good dancehall. He was one of the few soca artists who could win over the male crowd and the female crowd. You have to understand, in those days, soca was still seen as kind of girly. You only went to the soca parties to see the girls. And occasionally Bunji Garlin. You know, but you see Blazer had a way to connect with both, which is very rare. He was naturally born for this. He had a natural presence for the media. He had a good presentation when he was in front of the camera. He had a good way to present himself. He never presented himself.
Choosing what the fans choose and what the people love, go out and do that song and that's what they enjoy. So I feel good in singing for the people because everything I do is for the people, it's for the fans. So, I feel proud to go and sing that song for the guys with his love, you know what I'm saying?
He was perfect for soca, made for soca. Unfortunately, the kind of life he lived behind the camera would be ultimately his downfall. However, as much as Blazer was loved in the soca scene by his fans, behind closed doors he lived a very troubled life, You see, Blazer, one thing that his friends would often tell you, or the people who used to work with him, they'll tell you, anytime you were in the street with Blazer, he would see somebody he want to fight, Anytime you there with Blazer, there's some drama coming your way. To the point where his friends had to say, listen, we could be friends, but we couldn't be mixing in the street just so.
Follow the wrong company, I don't know. He's a kind of fella, you have plenty love in his heart, and he like friends. He like to keep friends around him, and he have plenty naughty friends too. So sometimes he do certain things and he wanna defend his friends. The friends them do certain things and he wanna defend his friends and them, And we always talking to him, hey, you have to change our vibes and things.
Moving with Blazer sometimes would be very, very tricky because you never know when something's going to happen. You walk with Blazer and all of a sudden he sees somebody he want to fight with. You know what I mean? Some old enemy you remember from some time ago. That's as real as it is, right? So we ain't trying to butter it up. He was as real as that. Anytime you move with Blazer, you could be sure that something is going to go down some way, right?
He loved to defend all the people who used to roll with him in the streets. And because of that, his life was always marked with controversy, In 2005, shortly after he had his first big hit, he got into an argument with his own brother. And the thing got really wicked. Now, Blazer would routinely be arguing with family members. In fact, his neighbors in Shogunas would constantly say the boy was very spoiled. He was a very entitled person. And he grew up to become a monster in front of his own family. And one day, when Blazer was arguing with his brother, things got overheated, and in one chilling instance, he shot him. At least allegedly, because after he shot him and he got taken to jail later that night, he was able to get off after a little while in jail just because the people refused to testify against him, specifically his father. And even though he got off, his house was still placed under surveillance because of the many gun-related charges he would carry with him. So even though on TV he was this great soca artist, behind closed doors, he was a very different person. In fact, many of the soca reporters at the time and people who reported on Trinidad culture would say, when you see Blazer Dunn in the train, you could just look into his eyes and you could see it. It was a very different person on TV. One look into the eyes could show you that he was going through a lot of trouble. Now, one thing about being a beloved artist, whether it's soca or reggae or dancehall, there's this kind of aura that you have where the people would still love you no matter what you do unless it's just over the top. People would defend you for whatever, even whenever you're talking about certain celebrities. They were defended for a long time before people started to say, okay, this wouldn't work. And it was the same thing that happened with Blazer Dunn. Shortly after his incarceration and his legal battles, he came right up. In around 2007, he made probably one of his most popular songs with Be Mine Tonight. And when he made Be Mine Tonight, he was big hit. Everybody was happy to see it. He was a finalist in Groovy Monarch. Everybody was loving Blazer. But you see, it's hard to give up that street life whenever you have a persona and you have this respect and the people around you expect a certain thing around you, but the people who see you in the limelight, they expect an entirely different person. It's almost night and day. And but Blazer, unfortunately, he almost tried to play both sides of the fence. However, if you ask me, the fact that he tried to keep his image clean in his career, in his musical career, in his soca career, the fact he tried to keep this clean tells me that he really wanted to change. It's hard to give up that life. It's really hard to give up that life whenever you have an image to protect on both sides of the front. And so, he continued to do what he was doing. continued to make hit after hit, and he continued to shoot shot after shot, bullets after bullets. And the irony is, shortly after Be Mine Tonight, during all of this controversy, during all of his turmoils, he would drop probably his most touching, most powerful song that he ever made. In those days, MX Prime was Maximus Prime. Bunji Garlin was still spelled with a G instead of the J that we know now. Bunji Garlin and Maximus Prime and Faye Ann were entirely different people who would go on to become the titans of soca music. And with those three and Blazer Don, they made Somebody. And Somebody completely took over the message that he was trying to get across. If you could personify what Blazer Don was going through in one soca track, that was it.
Somebody better call somebody and tell somebody that I need somebody. Whoa, need somebody, know I love somebody. Just bring that body, let me love that body, girl. Somebody better call somebody and tell somebody that I need somebody, yeah. And if somebody know I love somebody, just bring that body, let me love that body, girl. Somebody better call somebody and tell somebody that I need somebody, yeah. And if somebody know I love somebody, just bring that body, let me love that body.
To this day, when you hear the song and you know the story of Blazer Don, it carries a different kind of weight. The song was so beautiful and it carried so much of a story behind it. And it was so ahead of its time. It's a shame that it doesn't get as many plays today, as this is soca almost at its purest form. Shortly after that powerful song that he dropped, around 2010, Blazer Don would be liming in the shop with his friends recording their music, and three men would show up and they were clearly targeting Blazer. They pulled up on him and they fired shot after shot after shot to make sure he was dead. And when he was pronounced dead, it shocked the people who followed his career. Everybody was shocked because he was such a great and beloved artist. But to those who were around him, his family, his father who he continuously argued and shouted and disrespected, his brothers who seen him shoot down his own younger brother, the people around him, his friends and family and co-workers, it didn't affect them at all because they knew this day had to come. Because, mind you, the story of Blazer Don is not to big up the badness, big up the gangster lifestyle, big up any kind of that, because I don't do that. I would never do that, especially when it comes to soca music. I would never want to see that culture into soca music like so many other forms of music, like the hip hop. I would never want to see that. This story is to show you that you could be the biggest star, but when you treat people wrong, when you treat people bad, whenever you shooting people, you playing this gangster life, all of that, it doesn't just go away, you know. You could reach a point where you want to change your life. You could become a whole minister, a person for the Lord who wants to go to church. But the people whose toes you stepped on along the way, the people you've killed, the people you've hurt along the way, they don't forget this. You could become the nicest, most beautiful, most Christian, most pleasant person, but people don't forget how you treated them. And that is going to follow you for the rest of your life as long as somebody is hurt by you. So you must treat people nice, because the people you wrong will remember how you treat them, and best believe it will come back to you some way, shape or form. And it's in this that I don't big up Troy Dan Cruikshank. This is a big up of Blazer Don's music, Blazer Don the artist, and to tell the story of what happens when you want to serve two masters. This has been 3 AM Epiphanies. Soca is life. Soca c'est la vie. Peace.